Hey everyone, Chris here from AV.technology. I'm here with Hugo on the Harman stand. Hugo, would you mind introducing yourself?
Of course, with pleasure. My name is Hugo Larin. I'm actually part of the Flux team. Well, I should say actually, the greater Flux Harman team from a recent acquisition. Been excited to be around this immersive audio conversation in Harman.
So, Hugo, like you've, as SPAT and Flux as the company, has remained fiercely independent for a long time. Like, why did, why was the Harman acquisition so attractive?
Well, it's a very good question, and some of the first response that we actually got from the market, after that acquisition was, what's going to happen to this beautiful aspect of SPAT being agnostic, SPAT being the product, our main immersive audio engine, and so that conversation came a lot from our customers because that freedom of being able to create content for whatever delivery system or the delivery system of the day, which may happen to be a JBL system, or not. So that's a question that came around a lot, but I would say that in the whole conversation about the acquisition is how Harman realized the importance of content. And yeah, I'm going to use a famous phrase, right? Content is king. Well, right, it is true. Content is king. So are the tools. So the conversation starts from the creative intentions. This is where we can establish how to design a loudspeaker system in a venue. When we actually know what's at stake, what are we trying to build for an audience experience? What are the key anchors, right? Are there visual elements we need to reinforce? Is that a frontal stage only, more traditional, everything in the front and then surrounding maybe? So really understanding this from those creative intention, mixing intentions, delivery expectation, rather than start from, I build a system, go figure it out.
So where have we gone wrong? Like, where have you observed projects going wrong?
Yeah, who am I to say that, that it's wrong, but at the same time, from what we've been seeing is exactly this, right? A loudspeaker matrix approach being deployed in a rack and not necessarily getting into the conversation of how will this be operated? Who will create content? What will be that workflow? It's a lot about workflow, and I don't want to mention this big gorilla spatial audio company that we may know of necessarily, but they've got this figured out. There is a from end to end, from delivery, from content creation to delivery, and yes, they're monetizing it on the way, but that's their model. But the point is that they've at least defined a formula. How do we create and how we deliver? Now, if we take care of the delivery system, forgetting that we need that input, that signal, in the wider space of pro audio, for installations, for touring sound, for anything outside of the theatrical installation that we know, for example. If we forget that this is needed, we're challenged. We're big time challenged. And I can even talk beyond this about the ability to build ecosystem. You're talking about this openness. The openness is not necessarily strictly for me from the loudspeaker perspective. Is what are the other tools? Do I need to integrate with the DAW? Okay, is the panel of the workstation, does it need to talk to the rendering engine? Yes. So it's the ability to build ecosystems and new protocols to facilitate integration. We've actually been part of this at Flux, an industry initiative called ADMOSC.
Okay.
Which is actually, basically a bunch of manufacturers, controllers, renderers, trying to speak the same language to build ecosystems, because this is what we need. It's not about a closed environment.
Yep. So, can we democratize spatial? Is it possible, or is it always going to be quite specialized and project specific? Like, can we have everyday switched on people creating content being able to get into this type of system?
Yeah, that's a good question. We have these creators that are sitting in the perfect sweet spot, the golden chair, and they're sitting there making decision. And now we have the reproduction reality where we need to take this and translate it as best as possible. Now, one thing for sure that I know is that when we're talking about live deployments, we always been around the conversation of making compromises. First compromises, we need to make a compromise for a wide audience. They sit everywhere. We need to balance this out to give, so sorry to say, It's not about the perfect render. We won't be able to give it. I think that that's absolutely impossible to do. That said, with proper techniques, with proper approach, with really making sure you can translate this as much as possible, there's no reason why someone wouldn't be able to create content agnostic of knowing the delivery. Now, it's an ideal world, but I live in that bubble myself, believing that at one point we'll get to this point that you can create an intention and the tools are there to translate it, transpose it based on the compromise that need to be made. I've got a smaller system today or a bigger system. The audience is spread all over. We need to make those compromises. But that doesn't mean that the result won't be great. So,
what are you looking forward to the most, I guess, to wind up? What are you looking forward to the most as far as looking into the crystal ball for your platform?
That's a big question. That's a big question. Well, within the Armin group or not, that's, I guess, you can imagine that being part of such a deep catalog, brands, brains around there, what's happening on the Armin X research teams, what's happening within the product development team. Like, obviously, this is what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to how we can bring this, into some products. How we bring some technology within DSP and even within loudspeaker. Really, it's about building this ecosystem, not being this one product living on this island, but the greater ecosystem. And obviously, do it. And the fact that within Armin, we can obviously control. I don't like to say the word control, but yeah, to some extent, control the end-to-end. There's definitely a huge opportunity area there. The crystal ball.
I guess, you've got that sense of it still being a great tool for any hardware, but by being in the Harman stable, obviously there's going to be some opportunity for deep integration.
And those integration have already started, for that matter of fact. We are releasing in a few weeks in Venue Synthesis, our new prediction tool in JBL. We're releasing the ability to actually take this file and open it in the spatial audio render in the Spat Revolution software to have all the loudspeaker positions to begin with and some of the speaker orientation. So already this is a great step. It saves in the deployment process. And that is going to be a huge area. Just without even talking about hardware integration, just from a software tool suite to help predict the prediction, right? How do we define that the immersive audio system is going to deliver? Well, maybe if we have the proper prediction tools. Some prediction tools out there already on that path, and I was part of some of those conversations. Huge element there as well. Just more tools, give more tools. You talk about democratizing it. Well, it starts with giving someone the tool to evaluate what he's doing, recommend, space more speakers, reduce your spacing, add speakers, right? Give them some guidance, find a way, beyond the traditional mapping, SPL mapping, but some mapping of the immersive quality of what you're building here is another huge opportunity, I think.